So the $30,000 from the article was basically how much it costs for the top influencers to make one post of their song these days.
Just this notion that money automatically equals fame is something that people need to get all the way out of their heads. What's going down? It is the Music Entrepreneur Club podcast. We're at episode 52, I believe. 52. It's an even number. Damon and I were musing over this idea that money equals success in the music business. And I think that's one of those pervasive thoughts that really affect the way people move in the business, especially unsigned DIY artists who are willing to just save up their money and throw it all into one effort because that's just kind of what the dominant narrative is. You know, everything's pay to play. You gotta dump a bunch of money. And I saw someone as recently as I think 2 days ago say, in order to be successful in the music industry, this was a producer, he said, you need to have money, period. In order to be successful, you need money.
But didn't he have a specific dollar amount? I think somebody posted like you need $250,000 to get a song popping or something like that.
Yeah, and I think he was echoing this. I don't think it's the same person. I think that's just something that people are spreading around. Because what I read, it was a producer from my region who this was on the personal Facebook page. So it wasn't like, this is someone that I've met, in real life. It wasn't like a viral tweet or anything. So I'm not going to say names or anything, but I know that's being spread around. And I'm like, I've never in my life spent $250,000 on anything, nor have any of the artists that I work with. So okay, let me ask you this.
Well, before you ask the question, I just like that. Usually when people say stuff like that, they're giving themselves an excuse not to succeed, right? It's like, oh, you need $250,000 to be successful in the music industry. I don't have that. That's why I'm not succeeding. So now I have an excuse of why I'm not making it. And it takes a little energy out of my charge because it's like, I can't be successful because I don't have 250,000. So, it takes any accountability away from you. And people like to do that a lot. Like they like to blame other things for their lack of success and justify it that way. And it makes them feel more comfortable, I think.
Well, of course. So Funk Volume generated millions of dollars. Your flagship artist, Hobson, before he started going viral on YouTube, do you think or do you know for a fact, as the co-owner of Funk Volume, what kind of budget went behind those efforts?
Yeah, I mean, it really wasn't much. I mean, for a video, he knew how to edit his videos and shoot his video. We bought a camera and, we were just kind of guerrilla shooting, not paying for permits, just kind of doing, just going around shooting stuff. And it didn't really cost, the video stuff didn't really cost much outside of the camera, maybe a few props here and there. But we're not even outside of the camera, we're not even talking about thousands of dollars, right? Like it's pretty accessible to most people that even probably drive Uber. And a lot of times free, a lot of times just your camera phone, it's just where you start. I think that, I know a lot of artists that have gotten started just by flipping their phone around. I think I've said this before, just by flipping their phone around and doing cool shit. Like the young lady, I think you pronounce it Chica. I forget. She's kind of popping now. She's got, she gets like hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, but she got momentum by just flipping the phone around and freestyling and displaying her talent. The homie Kalen Raps, the same thing, just flipping the phone around, rapping. He was good at it. People liked it. Build his following over time. People that are still using these random dollar figures of how to get in the music industry are not creative, and they're looking for an excuse.
I think a lot of the times too, and I've, I do beat reviews. I do song reviews. I've judged many showcases, judged many beat battles. It really, maybe I don't want to go there. I was just going to say, you know, first impressions matter. And so as a fan of music, when I go into these situations and I'm looking at artists, I'm looking simultaneously as a producer and as a music lover, you know. So I'll see someone and I'm like, they have talent, but it's just not there yet. Who knows what could happen in a year? And then there are other artists that I look at and I think, wow, they're amazing. They have a lot of talent and they're conveying their talent really well. And then other artists, it's just like, wow, this is a train wreck. Those are kind of like the three categories. And, you know, I always give constructive advice on what I think they need to work on. But with the artists that are just kind of in the middle, I think that's the most frustrating to see, because if an artist has talent, but it just feels like they're just making songs just to make songs and not putting their best foot forward every time, it's like, what? I mean, I guess, what do you expect to happen? And I don't know if people know that, but the people that are going viral with very little money, it's usually that they're doing something so different and unique, or they're doing something that's so just such an amazing representation of their talent that it's just undeniable to a listener. I mean, and I know we've all had those moments when we listen to an artist that we've never heard of before and we think, wow, this person is really amazing. I've never heard of this person, but instantly I'm in love with their art, just based on maybe even the first minute or 30 seconds of their song or music video. And I feel like that happened to Hopsin with a lot of his fans, because it was just so different and so unique. And he was clearly passionate about what he was saying, and he was so fluent as a rapper that it was just this perfect mix of undeniable talent with a great presentation and authenticity, and you just felt it, and instantly you became a fan, even if you never ended up going to a Hopsin show. I never been to a Hopsin show in my life, but I can tell you he's a good rapper based on, you know, just watching YouTube videos.
I think it's, you either immediately became a fan, you had some type of emotion, like there was some, even if you were like, oh, this shit is hella corny, like it was corny enough for you to comment, right? Or it was dope enough for you to comment. Either way, you left a comment and you kept the conversation going, essentially. So I think that, you know, when you're putting these visuals together, you want to invoke some type of emotion. You know, we've seen like some of the like super negative emotion, like if something's so terrible, like people will give it attention. And then, but if something's great, people will give it attention. It's like you said, it's that middle ground, which is huge, which is probably most people is just like, that was okay. It was whatever. Like, I didn't even get through the whole video. Like, it was just okay. Like, if I had to guess a number of what that middle ground is, it's 90-something% of people, or the 90% of the music that I hear and see. That's where most of the music is. It's not invoking that extreme positive. And I don't think you should go for the extreme negative, but the extreme negative is going to get more attention than everybody in the middle.
But the extreme negative has to be unintentional. We're talking about like the Ice JJ Fish factor. It's not like, I'm just going to make a song that I think is trash. No, you got to just make a song that's so polarizing, either because you look like a weirdo. Like, I think that was a big part of 6ix9ine's appeal, was just how he looked. Or it's clear that you don't know that you can't sing, but you're really singing your ass off, just out of tune. And that was kind of like the Ice JJ Fish thing, where people just became enamored with his, maybe that's not the right word, but with just him as a person, because, you know, they didn't think he was a good singer, but there was now this mystique about him. Like, why is this even happening? How did this happen? I want to hear more. But that was the $250,000 figure. I think we can both agree that someone just pulled that out of their ass. There's a new figure out though, which is 30,000, and it has to do specifically with TikTok, which is undeniably one of the fastest growing and most current platforms for musical discovery, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so this was, I'm breaking my own rule here. I actually read this article somewhere else, but I'm reading a Rolling Stone article, and the headline is, "Want a TikTok hit? Have $30,000." And the subtitle is, or the heading, whatever, as TikTok's user base has ballooned, the cost of promoting music on the app has skyrocketed. So a lot of people, I know you shared this on Instagram, and a lot of people were wondering, well, what costs money about TikTok? Why is it $30,000? It's a free platform. Which seems like an obvious question to ask, but maybe it's not. It has to do with influencer marketing. I mean, songs aren't going viral because you posted a song to TikTok. Songs are going viral because you posted a song somewhere, and some big personality on TikTok created a meme around it. And I'm just using meme in the general sense. It could be a dance, it could be a skit, it could be some kind of animation, something that catches people and they share it. So obviously, and shout out to Renegade, I interviewed him and we talked about that situation with K-Camp and everything on the podcast as well. But the Renegade Challenge, aka K-Camp Lottery, that was huge. That's probably that's the biggest example. And
did they pay for that, or was that organic?
That was organic. So, and that's the thing about it, right? So that happened a while ago. That happened about a year ago when things, it first started kind of bubbling, and then it just went crazy, and you had Lizzo and Oprah and whatever. But when TikTok first started, and it's the same way with every social media platform, same way with MySpace. When MySpace started, it was kind of just open. Soulja Boy came along, blew up. Sean Kingston came along, blew up. And then after that, everyone started trying it, and there were just too damn many people competing for that platform. And no one blew up again after them, really, just using that platform alone. TikTok's kind of the same way. At the beginning, you had this organic thing where there were kids dancing. They didn't know they were going to become huge influencers. Now they're millionaires. But because they have influence, you can't just send them a song and say, "Hey, fam, do a dance to this ASAP," and they're going to do it. They have 1,000 people a day asking them to do that. They probably have management. They probably have to vet the songs. They probably have to, and of course they have to charge, because now they have a platform and they're in a position to change somebody's life. So that's one element. But the other big element too is, and we always know this happens every time there's a platform that is full of influencers in the entertainment or music world, all of a sudden the corporations come in. So you, as an unsigned artist with a $2,000 budget, can't compete with Universal Music Group, who can pay $50,000, $30,000, whatever, to a Charlie, or to a, what's the other woman's name that they brought up, Addison Rae. You're not gonna be able to compete with them. So what ends up happening is, no longer does this platform feel democratic, like anybody could just come out of the woodwork and make it by chance. Now it's feeling way more like radio, where independent and unsigned artists don't break into that space.
Right. Well, I mean, so that's like for the top influencers, right? Like there's still much smaller influencers that many of them are on their way to becoming bigger. You just never know with these platforms. Like I know even with Big Ja, like he had a sketch where the audio went viral on TikTok. You know how people are sometimes reenacting scenes on TikTok, and we didn't pay anything for that, to be honest. I don't even know how it happened. We just started seeing all these videos pop up of them, of different TikTokers reenacting a popular sketch. So we're trying to find out, like reverse engineer, like, okay, what happened? Like, can we actually influence this to happen again, and increase his presence on the platform? So And then the other thing I would say about, the 30,000, so the $30,000 from the article was basically how much it costs for the top influencers to make one post of their song these days, right? So that's kind of what it was referring to. And I just think that even with labels, like, that's not the only shot that they're taking. Like, that's not like their marketing budget. It's not like they have $30,000 for an artist and they're like, oh snap, let's just do TikTok, right? Like, it's part of a much bigger campaign. Like 30,000 might be part of a $200,000 budget, or maybe bigger, I don't know. So independent artists need to understand that too. It's not like, oh, as soon as I save $30,000, I'm going to give it to the top TikToker and then I'm going to be off to the races. It's like, no, there's other stuff that goes into that marketing, but it's a part of a bigger plan. And number two, okay, let's say you drive some interest to your one song and then people like this one song. Like, okay, what else you got? Where does it, maybe you get a little viral blip in what you're doing, and then what? Did you have any money to keep this thing going? Did you have any money to invest in more songs, more visuals? Did you already have a catalog that people can enjoy? Like, once you now have a few more people listening to your music. So I think that, obviously these articles, the headlines is try to grab our attention, but this isn't for the independent artists. If you want to do TikTok influencers, reach out to some smaller ones, spread your budget around, make sure that your campaign is bigger than just TikTok, and make sure that when you're driving the attention, you have somewhere for that attention to continue to brew and grow. So, I mean, I for sure wouldn't pay $30,000 for one TikTok post. That's just too much of a gamble for 30,000, because at our level, like 30,000 is a lot of money, and you just don't take. So it's the same with radio. Like, I'm not going to work a song at radio because that's a gamble too. It's like you spend $50,000 and then you may not get what you thought you were going to get, and now you're like, okay, back to the drawing board.
Yeah, especially if that's 90% of what you have, and then the other factor too always is the music good enough for that format? Is it right for that format? Because a lot of people, and we were talking about this before we started the broadcast, it was we've all seen people blow a whole lot of money on, and these aren't signed artists. These are unsigned artists who really thought that money was the answer. So they look at radio and say, okay, cool, these songs are trash. But the only reason they're popular is because the radio spent a bunch of money. There are hundreds of songs that come out on radio and disappear as fast as they came, and they're affiliated with major labels. Some of the biggest artists have songs that flop. Nicki Minaj's first official single, which was what was it called? Massive Attack, flopped. It just disappeared. No one even talks about that song. And it didn't matter in the grand scheme of things because she had so much money behind her. But if that had been an unsigned artist, that would have been it for them, unless they just had a trust fund full of millions of dollars. But just this notion that money automatically equals fame is something that people need to get all the way out of their heads, because it plays right into the narrative that talent isn't important, and everybody on the top 10 has no talent. No one has talent. Labels don't sign people with talent. Labels sign people who make money, whether or not you think they're talented. And someone out there thinks whatever artist that they're a fan of is talented. They love them for one reason or another. So don't sabotage yourself by thinking that the only way you can make it in the business is money, and the only reason anyone has success is because of the money behind them.
The other thing that I would say about, and this is probably true, or this is true for collabs as well, is like when you give your money to an influencer, like obviously you're passionate about what you do. You're passionate about the music. The person you're paying is probably passionate about the check, right? They don't really care about the song, most likely. So, you know, at this point, if somebody's getting $30,000 a post, you know, they're probably pretty well off. And, you know, you come in with 30,000 that you done scraped up or saved for the past 3 years, you know, they're not looking at it the same. And you might be extremely disappointed when you don't get the customer service you want or the care that you want. So that may be even more lends to reaching out to smaller influencers that haven't been given hella checks yet, and they're still trying to get to that $30,000 mark, and they might be more attentive, and they might care a little bit more about the song, because it's the same with collabs. Like, artists get to a certain point, they're charging like, you know, 5,000 a collab or whatever. At some point, if they're still doing them, like, they're just turning them out. Like, you know, they might record a verse, they're not going to put the same energy and effort they should. And
Yeah.
that's why I respect Jaron. Like, Jaron Benton, if you get a collab from him, like, he's gonna go 100. I've seen it. Like, you know, he doesn't slack on any verse that I've ever heard from him. But from what I've seen, is that's rare. Like,
Yeah, unfortunately.
they don't put the same energy and effort into every verse. So just be mindful of that especially when you start spending a lot of money to get other people to do things, like whether it's collabs or influencer campaigns. But I think influencer campaigns should be looked into. You know, just start at the right level. Yeah, I definitely don't want to. I don't want people taking away from this, like, hey, we're not ever gonna, you know, explore a TikTok campaign.
So yeah, I know you wanted to talk about something else.
Yeah, I wanted to. I don't even how many minutes are we into this? Because I don't know how long it's gonna be. I wanted to talk about you know, the question of when to get a manager always pops up, and you know, should we talk about that next week, or should we just talk about the upcoming changes to the MEC and close this one out, or should we jump into?
Yeah, we can close it out. I feel like that's a bigger topic.
Yeah, it might be a longer conference. So next week we'll talk about management, because, you know, just quickly, I have a different take, because most times people hear like, oh, you should get a manager when you have something to manage. I don't necessarily agree with that. So we'll talk about that next week. But, you know, big changes coming to the MEC. We alluded to it last week. Starting June 29th, actually, all our sessions are going to be free. So tap in with us. More details coming soon. But hopefully this allows for, you know, more people to get access to the dope people that we're always bringing to the table, sharing their knowledge, sharing their experience, and helping you guys, you know, build businesses and create careers in the music industry. So I'm super excited about it. We canceled all the memberships over a week ago, all the paid memberships. And man, I've just been appreciative of the support that we've received over the past couple or few years now. So this is just kind of the next stage in the evolution of the MEC. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah, it is exciting. So the website will be launched soon. We'll have a calendar of online events coming soon, and it's free. So I don't want to hear anybody telling me that it's cost prohibitive. And then, of course, they're going to be archived. So no matter where you are, you can check out our live sessions.
Yeah, and let me vent real quick, because
Here we go.
On our Instagram, you know, mind you, Instagram, you know, we might share a picture, might share a caption, we might even share a few minutes of a live session or a podcast. It's small content. Like, it's not a class, it's not anything to dive deeper in past that post. So sometimes people post like,
I know where this is going.
Sometimes people post things like, oh, well, why don't you teach us instead of preaching to us? Well, why don't you get your dumb ass in our sessions where we have a full hour of interviews and questions and answers, where you can actually get the full course meal, right? Like, our Instagram is kind of us having fun, just kind of showcasing what we're doing. It's not to teach you the whole music business on Instagram. It's impossible. So stop leaving those dumbass comments like, well, why don't you teach us? We have a platform for that. We have a full ass podcast. We have live sessions.
Which are now free. All that's free.
Yeah. We power the BeatStars online summit, which is going
also free.
Also free, which is going to be a quarterly ongoing event. And when we're able to come outside, we have the MEC tour. So if you don't think we're doing enough to help educate you, then I don't know what to tell you, but I'm going to start blocking people that say dumb stuff like this, because you obviously will never make it in the music industry with that kind of attitude and effort.
Well, what we need to be doing, Dame, instead of blocking people, is actually creating some kind of budget for our company, and then visiting these people, you know, buying plane tickets and paying for the lodging, visiting them at their houses and walking them through every single process and actually doing it for them. So by the time we leave their homes, they're famous and they're making money and they don't have to lift a finger. That would be really what would be helpful.
I feel like that's what people are looking for. Like I had Kayvon, who's the director of artist relations at Genius, a super legit company that's growing a mile a minute. You know, he was our guest this past week, and he told me how he got the job at Genius. You know, after being an assistant to an agent at CAA and going back and forth between Nashville and New York, building relationships, you know, meeting Rob Markman through the homie Tim Weber, who was at Good Music All Day, and just this long process. And then eventually a spot opening up at Genius and Rob sending him the application, him going way above and beyond, answering the questions, wrote 9 pages because he wanted to show them that he really wanted this job. Like, so it's one application. This cat network, built relationships, was in the trenches, wrote 9 pages. Do you have that kind of energy to do something like that? If you're over here crying about why we don't walk you through every single thing right on Instagram, but you have other people that are willing to write 9 pages for a job application that didn't ask for that, you know, just going away. But that's who you're competing against in the music industry. That's the kind of energy and effort and perseverance and proactivity that you have to make it in the music industry, right? Don't complain under our posts when we do so much for the community. Like, we don't have to do this. We don't make a lot of money doing this. I know I say this all the time. People are like, I get it, Dame. It's just a passion project. You make money doing other things. But I have to continue to say that. Like, we don't have to do this. Like, how many people are going to this extent to have a free podcast, to open up free live sessions with dope guests, to curate, you know, online summits? You know, our tour isn't free, but I mean, we got to draw the line somewhere. Shit, like we have to draw the line somewhere. Like, everything can't be free and a hand holding process. That's the exact opposite of what it takes to be in the music industry. You need to be hungry. Like, you got to have, and you have to outlast those that don't have the perseverance and don't have, you know, that level of proactivity. Sometimes outlasting is the gift, right? Because a lot of people are going to give up. A lot of people are going to get mad that we don't just, you know, hold your hand through the process. Outlasting is might be your gift, and that might be why you make it.
So, in conclusion, contact Dame for $30,000. He will make a viral TikTok video to your song, and your life will change forever.
Right. And then, yeah, and just follow the Instagram page and you're guaranteed success. Like, pretty much. That's what you guys.
Let's say something nice and not sarcastic to end this podcast.
We already said something nice. The MEC is going to be free starting June 29th, and you're welcome.
All right. We'll catch you on episode 53. I'm DJ Payne 1. He's Dame Ritter. For once, I wasn't the one ranting. We'll talk about racism in the record label some other time too, so we can get more bots and angry white people in the comments creating fake accounts. Shout out to them. Shout out to you. Shout out to all our listeners on Apple Music, on Spotify, on Audio Mac, on Stitcher, on YouTube, and any other platforms where fine podcasts are consumed. Peace, everyone. Till next time.
Peace.